I should start off by saying that public speaking is not my strong suit. I've been accused of rambling on, but this is my daughter, so please refrain from tossing any food my way in an attempt to get the mic. Welcome to you all, our family and our friends. I'm happy to see all of your smiling faces at this celebration. What an amazing tribute to both Adriane and to Tim to have nearly every person invited to their wedding attending in Santa Cruz to witness, share, and celebrate in their marriage. Many of you have come from afar, weathering requests for days off from work, plane rides, rental cars, and room reservations. I'm so thankful for all of your efforts. There are so many of you locals, too, who have helped me so very much. In the last few months with preparations for this weekend. And I want to thank you for all your support. Tell you right now, I know you're a big one. This is an unbelievable day. It's one of the most poignant days of my life. My darling little baby girl just got married to the most excellent man. I said to Adriane just the other day that she and Tim were like two peas in a pod. And when I said that, I know she was thinking that she and Tim have varied interests and often different motivations. But I know the statement is true. When it comes to Adriane, the words extreme and exceptional come to mind. Adriane could be found hang gliding thousands of feet above Lake Geneva, soaring along the face of the Swiss Alps, or ice climbing through glacier fields in southern Chile, or leaping into Salmon Lake in the high Sierras from a 40-foot protruding rock, and this all before she was old enough to know better. Her exploits have calmed a bit as she is spending a good deal of time chasing after her little, but more than anything else that she loves, she simply loves her man. When it comes to Tim, the words brilliant and highly motivated come to mind. Tim started playing chess with his dad at age 2, and in later years earned the title of Massachusetts State Champion 4 years running. As a youngster, he was incredibly curious about everything, and at one point while on safari, chose to follow a lone elephant along a riverbank in South Africa just to get a better look. The problem with that escapade was his wandering placed him in a rather dubious position, with a hungry lion hiding in the bushes between him and the rest of the safari. I said he was brilliant, not safari smart. Tim hasn't wasted any time initiating 2 startup companies early in his career with his incredible entrepreneurial flair. And for fun, well, he is often running or rowing or problem solving, but more than anything else, he simply loves his girl. Tim and Adriane, you have such respect, love, and admiration for one another. You delight in each other's strengths and encourage and support each other in your individual endeavors. It is obvious that you simply like being together, just hanging out. I wish for you a lifetime of happiness and good health. It is so much fun seeing you intertwine and grow your lives together. May you fulfill your dreams as individuals and as a married couple. You will find that they are one and the same. A toast to you both. I love you very much. Congratulations and best wishes.
Elaine Powell, once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much, Elaine. What a wonderful start to our toasts and welcomes today.
Thank you all for coming to share Elaine and my joy at the marriage of our beloved daughter, Adriane, to Peter and Mary Jane's wonderful son, Tim. As soon as I met Tim, I thought he was the one. I knew he was the one, but I couldn't just blurt it out, so I had to wait a few years. I enjoy being over my head intellectually. So Tim and his family are perfect for me. Way over my head. This weekend, my happiness is complete after meeting Adriane and Tim's gracious family and friends. So thank you all for coming.
Very much, Kurt. Now I'd like to bring up Tim's parents, Peter and Mary.
Father groom speeches. So a friend suggested I ask Siri for advice. After her usual, "I'm sorry, Peter, I don't understand what you said." She has a lot of trouble with my accent. She finally pointed me to some local bridal stores. So next I tried the internet. The first site I looked at had a list of 20 soppy aphorisms that you might include in speech. There was one good one, however. Never go to bed mad. Instead, stay up and fight. The next site suggested I limit my speech to 10 to 15 minutes and gave a long list of people to welcome and thank. The third site warned me that other speakers at the wedding would likely have professionally prepared speeches and suggested I should be quite concerned how my amateur version would stack up against such professionally prepared speeches, and suggested I try their special offer for a professionally prepared speech. Then I tried YouTube. There are literally dozens of videos with titles like World's Funniest Father of the Groom Speech and Best Speech by Father of the Groom Ever. Well, in case any of you ever have to make such a speech, I can save you the trouble of doing it. They were uniformly terrible. Some clearly followed the instructions on one website. Do you have any idea of how many people you've welcomed and thanked in 15 minutes? So I finally figured out I should just do my own thing here, based on my own experiences, and above all, be sure to keep it short. I figured that marriage is a new stage of life, and if you want to know what it would be like, it's useful to go back and examine an earlier stage. So it turns out that Tim as a baby and young child was a delight. He was agreeable and cooperative. There's karma in the world, however, so of course our second child was Ted, who very much had his own unshakable views on how he would behave. Tim learned things really quickly. I'm a good chess player, but it wasn't long before he was beating me. Similarly, he was a bit physically cautious and timid, so we sent him off to karate. He ended up being one of the youngest second-degree black belts ever. So here's my advice to Adriane. You have maybe 10 years at most to mold him just the way you want. Just be careful what direction you point it in, because you will likely get there fast. Now, I've been married to Mary Jane here for some 33 years, and one of the things that has worked well for us is a strict division of labor. She handles cooking, gardening, spirituality, and relationships, and I make sure our remotes are programmed right, take care of checking out what's happening on the internet each day, and frequently make us both excellent cups of cappuccino. So my advice for Tim and Adriane is to come up with some similar division of labor. When tasks are assigned to the wrong partner, things won't necessarily go smoothly. I was somewhat dismayed to learn that Tim had been assigned the task of organizing their honeymoon arrangements in New Zealand. Indeed, for a while I was worried that this might prove one of the shortest marriages ever. Tim assures me, however, the arrangements are, quote, pretty much under control. So we have reason for at least some hope here. Over the many years to come, I'm sure Adriane and Tim will figure out their mutual strengths and become an ever stronger team. Finally, consider all of you here most sincerely thanked and welcome.
Well, as you just heard, I'm in charge of spirituality. So what you're about to get is a 2-generation story of white sparks and celestial events. Some of you will have already heard part of this, for which I apologize. The first generation. Peter and I are at Stanford University in the mid-1970s. We both find ourselves in an Israeli dance class. I'm shy. I've actually never had a boyfriend before. And there's this young man dressed from head to toe in blue, and he looks at me and he says, "Let's try this dance together." And I look at him, and I'm faced with the warmest, kindest, most gentle brown eyes I have ever seen in my life. And white sparks fly out from his eyes to mine. I knew at that very moment that this was the man I wanted to spend my life with. Of course, he's a man, so it took him a little longer to figure it out. But eventually, we planned our marriage, and this leads to the first celestial event. Our wedding took place in Peter's brother Stephen's beautifully flowered San Francisco garden. There was no rain plan, because the house was too small for all of the wedding guests. So we had a lovely sunny day. It wasn't until we drove off towards our honeymoon that we realized all of the streets in San Francisco were wet. It had been raining everywhere except on our wedding in San Francisco. But that wasn't the celestial event. The celestial event was that as we drove north on the highway towards our honeymoon, me in my white dress with my bouquet of red roses, Peter in his lovely suit, both of us in our VW gray wagon, a spectacular rainbow spanned the highway in front of us. I kid you not. In good time, we decided to have children. All children are miracles, and we had 2 wonderful ones born to our care. We raised them with a mixture of love, care, and worry, far from perfectly, but we were able to preserve them to the age when they could take over the job of perfecting themselves. Which leads us to the second generation of white sparks. The first time I met Adriane, she and Tim were sitting on the couch together, and I saw Tim with the warmest, kindest, most gentle brown eyes look at her, and white sparks went from his eyes toward hers. At that moment, I felt a little lurch, a little change in the balance of the universe, as I realized that that son of ours was to be turned over to the care and love of another. For all the while, another miracle was being nurtured here on the West Coast by family and close friends. It's a roundabout way to get a daughter, sending a son out to find one. I've come to know Adriane since then. She may not be the daughter of my body and my blood, but she is the daughter of my heart and of my dreams. And we are so glad our families are joined. And by that time, I realized the power and the portent of white sparks enough that when Adriane's mom, Elaine, several years ago, invited us to a Sunday brunch at her house, and afterwards we all went for a walk along West Cliff Drive, she and I purposely lagged behind the rest. And what we discussed was this very day. We had further discussions, which I won't disclose at the present time. Which leads us to the last event, the second celestial event. Tim and Adriane came to visit us in Boston in the late fall. Tim confided in us that he was trying to figure out just the right moment to propose to Adriane. I was out raking leaves in one late afternoon when a spectacular spectacular sunset took over the sky. It wasn't our usual sunset, a little bit of orange in the west. This sunset covered the entire sky with orange, golden, and coral light. It brought out the warm colors of all of the brick buildings and the remaining colored fall leaves that were on the trees. The sunset made the entire atmosphere glow. So I walked in to get Tim and Adriane to come out and see it, and I met them walking out. Tim said, "We're going for a walk." Adriane said, "Do you want to come?" I saw the glint in Tim's eye and a brief look of horror in his eyes. I said, "No, I'm making leaves." So under that spectacularly colored sunset sky, Tim proposed to Adriane, and she accepted. It is said that marriages are made in heaven. All indications are that this one was. Further, Jewish mystics claim that every person contains a spark that contains the essence of his or her being. When two soulmates find each other, their sparks combine, intensify, radiate out to illuminate the heavens, and light up the cosmos with joy. I can't speak for the entirety of the cosmos, but this day, this moment, all of us gathered here together, Tim and Adriane's vows to each other. There's great rejoicing in this particular corner of it. Tim and Adriane, we are so thankful you have found each other, that you've brought us all together, and we wish you nothing but joy for the rest of your lives.
Peter and Mary Jane Suzman, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Wonderful, wonderful family welcomes today. And now we'll go ahead and continue with toasts coming from within our...
For the rest of your lives.
Peter and Mary Jane Suzman, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Wonderful, wonderful family welcomes today. And now we'll go ahead and continue with toasts coming from within our...
No, I'm just saying.
Good evening. I met Adriane. Oh, sorry. I met Adriane just like a family member on the day I was born. She didn't know it at the time, but 30 years, 121 days ago, Adriane got a sister. At least I'm sure that's how she felt years later when I copied her and my sister's every move. Their favorite color was pink, so was mine. They changed their favorite color quickly to purple. I did too. They tried every trick in the book to keep me away, but I was relentless, and I courted them for their friendships. Luckily, since our families are so close, Adriane had to spend a lot of time with me. We went to the beach, took dance lessons, camped, and vacationed all together. We even took a 3-month trip across the U.S., celebrating our 8th and 9th birthdays along the way. So we can now withstand very long car rides, so long as Big Girls Don't Cry, I Saw the Sign, and Jeremiah Was a Bullfrog are playing on repeat, over and over, endlessly. Sorry, parents. I started out copying Adriane's every move, which I believe is my greatest move of all time. I mean, look at her. She's smart, successful, fun, kind, and gorgeous. And I continue to try to emulate pretty much everything she does. Her outlook on life, how she sees both sides to everything, her motivation, she went from not running more than a mile at a time to running a marathon within 1 year. So I don't think that there's anything that she can't do. Adriane has not only felt like a second sister to me, but her entire family has been like a second family to me as well. Elaine and Frida give me advice and feed me like I'm their own. They really overfeed me, to be honest. And when Sophia and Liam were born, I felt like my own niece and nephew were born. We're BFFs now. Her family and Adriane are the most loving, welcoming people I've ever met in my entire life. So at the first 4th of July party, where Tim was in attendance, when he jumped right in and helped out as much as Elaine would allow, and ate as much as Elaine wanted him to eat, I knew he'd be a great addition to the family. Now, I'm going to have you rewind a little bit to when Adriane called me about Monica's friend, Tim, the guy who she started to date. I immediately Googled him. And when I learned that Tim Suzman, around his age, was a state chess champion, I knew Adriane had met her match. She's incredibly competitive, will do anything to win. I think she'd kill to win, to be honest. Yeah, be careful. Don't play too hard with her. So, later on, when Tim played Bananagrams at our first year of joining our annual houseboat trip, it was pretty amusing to hear all of his new crewmates yell expletives at him for winning every single round that day. He literally won every game he played. And then I realized Adriane brought in a ringer. But the thing is, there's so much more to love about Tim than him winning games. The first thing I admired was how much he values family and friendships. You could see it at that party, but you could truly see it in the fact that he started a company with his brother and best friend, and then at the end of the day, after working all day with them, wanted to also hang out with them at the end of the day. But the thing I love above all else, I love how he makes my best friend sparkle. As Mary Jane would put it, white sparks fly when he walks in the room or is even casually mentioned. He is intelligent, funny, goofy at times, and kind. And I'm so happy that Adriane gets to spend the rest of her life with him. Tim, Adriane, may you always light up when each other walks into the room and be supportive, loving, and kind in your relationship. And most importantly, I hope that you let us win family game night occasionally. So cheers to you.
And Tim, like 23 or so, that I remember. So Adriane, as is just obvious, is pretty much the best. But let me tell you about Tim. First off, he displayed legendary bravery from an extremely young age. I recall a time we were playing a computer game together, as brothers do, and in the game, we were like walking through this dark dungeon, as one does in computer games, and we come to this scary door, and at that point, he refuses to proceed entirely, and so I'm sitting at the controls, his younger brother, and he's like hiding behind the chair. And he claims it never happens. This is a continual pattern. If there's something embarrassing, he'll just deny. But second, there's his uncanny sense of direction. I mean, it's come up a couple times, but really it came to light pretty recently when he was out walking Bailey. That's Tim Adriane's dog. And he ran into a woman in a wheelchair. And the woman flagged him down and said, hey, are you familiar with this area? And he saw what was coming, but he had to admit that he lived in the area, like 2 blocks away. And she asked for directions, and he proceeded to send her in entirely the wrong direction, wheeling up a massive San Francisco hill. And he'd like me to add that when he realized his mistake, he tried to find her afterwards, but apparently it was too late. As well as being brave and knowing his way around, he's pretty sophisticated and fairly sort of suave. For example, he failed French in high school, and well, not quite failed, but like pretty. It was like on the line. It was like a 61 point. Yeah, okay. And then in college, in his university, it turns out that they had a foreign language requirement. And I guess intended to prevent people such as my brother from actually graduating. But somehow he managed to cram enough French in 2 weeks to test out of the requirement. But he's really never been the same since. Now for a bit of backstory. So as we heard earlier, at Monica, the wonderful officiant, and also Monica and all the bridesmaids, you guys were fantastic. So a round of applause for... So as we learned during the ceremony, they met at the 4th of July at Monica's place, their mutual friend, just not too far from here. And it so happened that the next day was my birthday, and usually I don't really celebrate, but we decided to get some people together, and Tim and Adriane were obviously invited. And when the evening came, about a week later, I guess people had been handing me drinks at a very unfriendly rate for quite some time. And it was in the state, I remember elbowing Adriane and being like, "So, why haven't you asked my brother out yet?" And she just goes like, I know. And later that night, I was walking with Tim, and I know I could kind of tell that he liked Adriane. So I said, first thing I said was, "So, what happened to Adriane?" And he goes, "I let her get away." And you might think I'm exaggerating, but I've seriously never heard such like a remorseful, mournful shriek from him in my entire life. He'll probably deny this one too, but I don't remember that part. Let's see, one more quick story. I was maybe 8 and Tim was 11, and he had some friends over from school. Well, not really friends, they were like people from school, some new people. And you'll see why. He keeps good friends, these weren't all friends. And one of them, I was likely being a pest, and one of them started kind of making fun of me in like not that nice a way. And Tim just instantly would have like nothing, he just like put an instant stop to this. He made like extremely clear that this was entirely not cool, and the kid cut it out right away. He's pretty much the best older brother. So Tim has this kind of quiet protectiveness, and I know now that, well, for a while now, this protectiveness has extended to Adriane, and she's extremely deserving of this, and it makes me very happy. And as a matter of fact, I think it's worth a toast. To Tim and Adriane.
All right, thank you.
We lovingly refer to as the lifers. Adriane and today's officiant Monica make up the other half.
Being a lifer means a lot of things. It means sharing early memories like having matching bikes, remember jazz bowl moves, and spending afternoons in each other's backyards playing in our gymnastics mats. It means carpooling every day together to school for 12 years.
And it also means making rhymes, often in English accents, about a bear in a chair over there while driving to early morning softball tournaments. Being a lifer means setting down your phone for 2 hours and coming back to 30 missed text messages. It means sharing traditions like Boxing Day feast and the 4th of July barbecue. So not surprisingly, most of these traditions circle around food at the Powell's house.
It means having Adriane put up our sukkah every year. Seriously, Adriane is the only person in my family who knows how to put up our sukkah.
Being a lifer means traveling across the state or across international borders to see one another. And it means that our moms meet once a month for book club.
And it means that some configuration of the 4 of us have worn matching outfits on more than a few occasions. Perhaps the best thing about being a lifer is getting to watch 3 of your best friends grow, achieve great things, and begin building lives with amazing people.
Adriane, you are ambitious, adventurous, generous, and kind. You know how to take pause to celebrate small, beautiful moments, and how to rock out to 90s pop music during long road trips. You are a protector. I think many people here who have ever ridden, or anyone who's ever ridden shotgun with Adriane and come to a quick stop knows the move. And we are so happy to call you a fellow lifer.
The first time I met Tim was in August 2010 after an 18-hour flight from Asia when Tim and Adriane came to pick me up. I hadn't showered, I was incredibly cranky, I was totally jet lagged, but Adriane and Tim came to pick me up, and I knew that Adie wanted me to meet Tim because she thought he was special. It was clear that you guys were already excited about each other after 6 weeks.
I met Tim just a month earlier. While at the time I couldn't name it, I now know that the connection I saw between them were those infamous white sparks. Throughout their relationship, I've always admired Tim and Adriane's support for one another, both personally and professionally. Adriane talks about Tim's works and strengths with pride and excitement. Tim does whatever it takes, even pulling off Operation Startled Flounder, code name for Adriane's surprise 30th birthday party, to make Adriane smile.
And I've always admired how Tim and Adriane create such a warm and loving community for their family and friends. Sorry I keep threatening to move next door to you.
Adriane, Tim, we don't know if we're really in a place to be giving advice to you as you start this chapter of your relationship, but we'll humbly offer just a bit. In a word, continue. Continue to support one another in your strong and quiet way.
Continue to open your home to family and friends.
Continue to be adventurous and grounding.
And most importantly, continue to love and appreciate one another in the genuine way you have since the beginning.
Congratulations, we love you too.
Hello, I'm Mark. You all know me as the middle Susan child. I'm really proud of my big brother today and want to welcome Adriane and her family into ours. Tim, Ted, and I had a good childhood. Thank you, Mom and Dad. Although, if I'm being 100% honest, Tim and I weren't really close until freshman year of college. So I'm just going to start there. A couple of days into the school year, way back in 2002, after unpacking the snow cone machine that I brought from home, I went down to Tim's room to find him coding. I asked him what he was doing, and he simply said, "I'm building an evolution simulator." We were very different as children, so I did what I normally did when I saw Tim doing something brilliant that I didn't understand. I blinked, shrugged my shoulders, and asked if he wanted to get lunch. He stopped what he was doing and off we went. Although now that I think about it, I hope I didn't keep the world back from a scientific breakthrough there. What's done is done though. I got a sandwich, and Tim filled his plate with chocolate chip cookies and had a glass of apple juice. The next morning, while I took detailed notes in chem class, Tim slept in the desk next to me. We've been best friends and brothers ever since. Over the next decade, our adventures went far beyond cookies and chem class naps. We started a handful of companies together. We almost went to prison together. The details to that story are not important, but the highlight for me was when Tim insisted on helping the police officer with a computer bug that he encountered when putting our personal information into the system. That's Tim, always willing to help. Years later, when graffiti was growing exponentially, we moved across the country together. In total, we've lived in 7 different places together. We were together the day that Tim met Adriane, and it was at a party of Adriane's where I met my wife, Chelsea. The list goes on and on. Needless to say, I've been through a lot with Tim. And what I've learned from all of our years together is that Tim loves cookies. He's also a truly incredible guy. He's the friend you want to hang out with and go on adventures with, and he's the loyal brother that you go to for advice. When he's not trying to cure people's fears with VR, he can also be a total goofball. Even though I'm a few inches taller, Tim is the kind of person that I I look up to. But now let's talk about one of Tim's greatest accomplishments, Adriane. I knew there'd be a lot of scientists and doctors and engineers in the room today, so I decided to do some serious research. I dug up two very interesting things. First, it turns out, and don't ask me to cite my sources, that dogs are the best, most accurate judges of a person's character. Second, additional research from more uncitable sources states that, and I quote, "Losing control of one's bowels occurs most frequently when the subject is in the presence of those they truly love." All of this data clearly explains why my dog Valentine...
We just want to thank everyone for coming. I know a lot of you traveled a long way, and it's really, really special to see all of you, even if it's just for brief moments as we run around trying to say hi to everyone. It really means a lot to us. Thank you for coming. And also thank you to Janice and Lindsay and Darlene and Melody for all their help and support in the preparation of this event, and the wedding party for all of your support and help and humor. And Mom and Dad, thank you for your speeches and for everything you've done for me. Here we go again. And for teaching me to understand and truly care about the world. Guys, sorry, I'll get through this pretty soon. Elaine and Kurt and Frida and all of Adriane's family, thank you so much for welcoming me as part of your family from the first day I met you. It really is a very special feeling. Thank you. And thank you, Adriane, for both planning this incredible event and for saying yes, most importantly, and for being my wife.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone. I'll try to keep it a little bit short. This is an incredible evening. I know we're losing a little bit of light, so I'm trying to read my notes here. Many of you know I was born and raised in Santa Cruz in this beautiful place. Mary Jane also went to college here at UCSC, so it holds a very dear spot in our hearts, and we're so happy to share our hometown and college town with you. Oh, thanks, Em. That's so lovely. Mom, your lights worked on the table, so congratulations on that. Monica, thank you. You're incredible. You did a beautiful job today. I know that you're going to hold it over my head that you introduced us for the rest of my life. A huge thank you to our parents for hosting us this evening. You know, for your guidance and support and love. Our hearts go out to you. Mary Jane and Peter, thank you for raising an absolutely incredible, fantastic son. Dad, thank you for bringing me to almost every softball game for 11 years. It's a lot of love. And also, my parents designed and built my childhood home. So Dad, thank you for showing me the patience, skill, and rewards of building something with your own two hands. Mom, thank you for everything that you did to put together this amazing weekend. You've been my rock. And in addition to teaching me how to throw a good party and always cook for an army, always, 5 armies actually, you have shown me the importance of community and the power of bringing people together. One other real quick story is when Tim and I went to City Hall to get our marriage license to change my last name to Suzman. I was incredibly excited about to change my name. It was a big decision. So I let him know that. I was very happy to do it. I signed my name on the paper and the person walked away. I did put my last name, added it to my middle name, so it's very long. Adriane Ray Powell Suzman. As the person walked away to process the paperwork, Tim looked at me with a little white spark and said, "Should I add Powell to my middle name?" So he is now Timothy George Powell Suzman. So, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for the faces. I am ready for the dance party. So let's have a good time.